You can make mistakes on any recording. It's totally okay. But if you're like, yeah, I messed up, and you don't know where, next. I can do anything if I just bring the right mindset. Easy concept, such a hard journey. How can I improve my feel to make this the best version of this song they've ever heard? My career was going the way I had planned. It's my growth as a player. It's never gonna end. There's no destination. It's constant maintenance.
We are here with the legendary Mr. Sean Hurley, played with the likes of Robin Thicke, John Mayer, Annie Lennox, Ringo Starr, Alanis Morissette, Timothee, Chalamet, to Mr. Ian Allison, I pronounced it wrong earlier. Okay. But first, we're going to kick it off with an incredible John Mayer track that you recorded with John.
I sure did, way back in 2020.
Let's do it. Dude, the 80s fade.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, do you want free bass gear, extra content, and exclusive videos? Well, listen up. As an SPL Insider, you get to be part of our free monthly giveaways where you can win bass straps, strings, pedals, multi-effects units, gig bags, even full-on basses, like this one. But that's just the start. SPL Insiders also get exclusive director's cut versions of our YouTube videos, longer with deeper insights and packed with extra tips you will not find anywhere else. Plus, you're also going to get bonus behind behind the scenes content as well. All of this exclusive content is only available to SBL insiders. It's not on YouTube and it's not on our website. It's truly exclusive. And the best part is it's 100% free. Just click the link below or go to sblinsider.com, sign up, and boom, you're in. Free gear, exclusive content, no brainer.
So good. We were reminiscing about Nathan East playing with Eric Clapton earlier because we were like similar age. We were like, oh, all of the 80s, like 85,
Iconic
86.
from the look, the sound, everything, every tune.
This was you got to step into the shoot because it's like the
Yeah, exactly. I knew we were walking into that because John had already committed to the keyboard.
filling games.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like filling games was the guy in the band with Clapton, with Nathan East back in the day. Yeah.
So you know that the level is raised. Like, okay, those are the waters we're swimming in. So you bring the right mindset.
Oh, so good. How did that song come together?
This was one of the last ones we did. We had started working in like January of 2020. So everything seemed like on the up and up. We were going to do a bunch of material. And then once we were in the studio, like a couple days before LA got shut down. And John not wanting to sit still during the time where everyone was going to have to sit still. He said, let's do, get the small group together, keep everyone healthy. Let's go in and we're not going to do anything we were touching on January, February, and March. He got it and he had been playing with different keyboards and like, I want to do some stuff that's from that era because he grew up on that era as well. He's born in 77.
Exactly, right.
John had a keyboard there. So if you came in to play keyboards, you'd be like, hey, I'm going to get some tones on that. And when those sounds are happening and John's writing stuff on acoustic, little Strat, the bass has a lot of room to maneuver and you got to be judicious. So pick up different basses, take different moves and different opportunities. But we knew it was 80s flavored, Clapton flavored. That was when I got a bass in 1985. It was like, you're speaking my language. I mean, from every catalog, every record, I knew what we were getting into. And then, John is a modern songwriter. You write a song, the task is usually pretty clear. Like, we have a vocalist, we have a song, we have structure. Let's do the team effort of like all row in the same direction and you get there.
Because it was based in that era, was there any part of you that thought, oh, maybe it's not a P bass? Maybe
Absolutely. Yeah. With John, I always bring everything because there's been times I've played my 5-string Lakeland on something. I was doubling a keyboard part that Greg had played, and I had played, and then Greg had played, and he even sent me a little video where he was talking with John, and he's like, basically, he was like, you just got deleted because let me show you how it's done. And he was joking, super funny. And he played the keyboard bass line. So then I came in to underdub, as I call it, when I'm going to double something. Yeah. So everything, I even had to run out and grab my fretless from the car on stuff with John. Yeah. I've played my K bass. I've played my jazz bass. I've played his jazz bass. I've played his Mustang. I've played probably as many other basses as I have P basses. But sometimes, when you start talking about snare sound and then the focus is on the drums, I'm going to just grab the first instrument that comes to mind. Yeah. And often with John, I'll pick up my flat wound P bass. But in this case, I said, I'm going to use my round wound P bass, drive the amp a little bit. It's really for the mixer because I'm providing a lot of harmonic availability that they can either tame or highlight. Yeah. And if you listen to the mix on this, it's the highlighted part of the available harmonic upper stuff that is being brought out in the mix. Some stuff from 1K and above, which if I don't play this bass, it's just not there. The flat wounds, it's kind of rolling off. You see it, everybody should record themselves and they should play their bass and they should pull up an EQ. It will show you what frequencies are happening. I looked at certain bass performances I had done at home. I was like, man, there's nothing happening above 2K or even 1K on some things. So knowing that the flat wound isn't going to cut it, and I was yelled at lovingly from a producer to keep my tone all the way up, because I was playing this very bass years ago.
On the round.
On the round. Yeah. And I was playing with the in-ears or headphones, you're getting a heightened sense of the frequencies that are coming from your instrument.
Getting pushed into your head.
Yes, he said, turn it all the way up. And ever since then...
Did he clock it? Did he know what was going on?
Oh, yeah, because he said, where's your tone at? When someone asks that, they know that it ain't open all the way. And if it was, we're going to switch bases.
You were committed a tone crime.
Yes. I've done so many sessions where the minute they're asking you about your instrument, it's usually with bass, something's wrong. And when you go hours, we're like,
they're not really interested
because
in it.
everything's working and it's all going according to plan, and they can hear the song in total.
So since then, was that like one of those crossroad moments in time where like
100%.
Your reality changes?
Yep, it was never, it was always tone open all the way. And it's a reminder, because there are times for me where it's painful with headphones on. I just have to remind myself, this is not the real world.
Oh, that's super interesting.
And get out and take the headphones off, listen through speakers and go, okay. And also, you know, I've answered this question almost weekly. Hey, what DI do you use? What strings do you use? And I'm always happy to share what those things are. But I am not the end user.
Yeah.
And even when we're producing and working, like there's always a mixer, a master. There are people down the chain that are going to interact with you and your tone. And so if you're not aware of that, like I was ignorant of that, then you might be setting yourself up for a disgruntled mix engineer who's saying, oof. And I've had producers who mix that say, hey, I didn't realize how well you played on that song until I started mixing.
Oh, interesting.
And so I was like, great. Mission accomplished. I go through the whole session. Everyone ignores me. No accolades. They're talking about the drummer, perfect sound. And it's like everyone's loving the community. And then a month later, it's like, hey, great job on that tune. I didn't even notice at the time. That's an extreme example, but
if you've got the tone control completely up, you're giving them more harmonic information to actually play with, right? Rather than you making the choice and going, home.
Exactly.
Turning it all the way off.
When I'm at home, I have a bass amp in the kitchen that I strategically placed while the family was gone.
Yeah.
But when they came home, it was just there.
And it's never moved.
When they leave for a vacation, I take the opportunity if I have to catch up with them later, which often happens, especially when the kids were young. So I have a little Fender amp that's one of those, it kicks back, so it's like a little monitor.
Yeah.
Currently, I have my Kramer Spectre NS2A in the kitchen, and I have the tone on the amp all the way down, the tone on the bass all the way down. I love playing this mushy, thumpy bass, but I know that I can't deliver that. That's not my deliverable. I got to give the people some harmonic stuff. But since I don't have a drum set with a drummer in the kitchen yet, I have to, as soon as a drummer starts playing, I'm open up the tone and I'm grooving. But if I'm alone, roll that tone off and chill.
So interesting. Like something I've noticed about you and a few players actually that I've been watching over the years is that you play really, really lightly. And it seems like there's a real broad spectrum of players and how they attack the strings. Some really dig in and do that, you know.
It tends to define the kind of sound they get as a player or their personality on the instrument, I think.
Yeah, like, so extreme example of that would be like Geddy Lee, for instance. Or like it's sort of like attacking the instrument. And on the other side of that spectrum would be yourself. It would be Freddie Washington.
You told me, and I didn't know. I can't always tell from people watching.
You can't see it on a video. It's you've got to kind of sit next to them and watch. So Freddie was like really light. Michael Leagues talked about playing super light before.
I've heard him. When I heard him say it, because there was a time when I would be aghast at like, what do you mean I play light? Like, does that mean my tone's light? Am I doing something wrong? But then, you know, it's whatever. And then, you know, I hear a player that I really respect talk about it, and knowing my own struggles with making the instrument like truly behave the way I'm asking it to. Because there's a long time when you're learning how to play, I think you're getting whatever results come out of what you're able to do. It's like learning to swim and learning any talent-based learning system. Like you sort of unlock things piece by piece. But I had a very influential teacher when I was young who said, hey, let the instrument and the amp do the work. Don't, because he was trying to teach me like limitless possibilities on the instrument, both harmonically and physically. And the other thing he told me is like, don't move your hand needlessly. So have economy of motion. So I said, okay, I'm going to do scales, do as little movement as possible so that I can, anything that's within my mind's imagination, my hand won't be fighting me. Like I see, you know, I do it now if I'm just rocking out and enjoying.
But it's a choice.
Yes, yeah, it's a purposeful thing. But there was a long time where like, I will never, because I was trying to get the training. And then once you get the training, it's like, okay, I can do things for fun, for enjoyment. I can loosen the leash a bit. But it was all of that. And in hand with that was not playing harder than was required, because I did find from experience playing live, I lost dexterity that I had at home in my practice room.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
And that was, I think, I changed the intensity that I was playing with, and I would run out of gas. Like I couldn't even pull off 16th notes where I was at home. It's like, oh, it's a breeze. And then live combo of, you know, nerves, adrenaline, digging too hard, and then you get your bass moment when everyone else is done, and it's like I had already hit the wall. I had nothing left. Like I have to maintain the control that I have in my bedroom, have that on stage. It's easy concept, such a hard journey to challenge yourself with.
So for you, it was more a happy, well, not a happy accident, but it's not like years ago you were like playing extremely hard.
No, I think I was always naturally playing just the way I play now, or maybe a little harder, but I was just like, I wasn't maybe as aware, but I was just learning how to push down a string on a fret, and what do you have to do to get the note to ring?
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in that sound, and I wasn't playing with a band, so I was like, okay, that sounds like bass, what's next? And then I found you hear these different tonal shifts that happen with your dynamic. So I also like the idea, if we'll find with this other song that I'm going to play with you, like if I'm here, I can go. I saw you and Ian do a cool thing. We were talking about to be real. You know, it's if you're not at your full dynamic range, then you've got places to go.
Yeah.
But if I'm Geddy Lee and I'm trying to play, he exists in a different world because he's an artist. He's a singer. He's a band leader. Yeah. But you know, if I'm playing a ballad, I'm aware of what that dynamic is, and if I'm playing something aggressive, I'm aware of what that is, and I'm kind of tuned into those levels every day because I don't know what song's coming at me from an artist. Yeah. So I like having like. I don't think I've ever really recorded like that, but I'm aware that my instrument is capable of it. And I'm aware what my body feels like when I'm doing it.
Yeah. And when you're playing like softly or however, you know, for the song, are you always over the one pickup, or does that change? And does it change from studio to live? Like,
when I was learning, it was always, here's the anchor. And then as I went into the studio, and I was just craving more muted tones. I didn't like the high-end stuff I was hearing. Some of that was, you know, I was not educated. I didn't know about turning the tone up and down and how that would affect the song globally. So I just found, while I was getting those crispy highs through the headphones, and my tone was up, even if I pulled it down, I was still hearing more detail than I was used to when I was at home in my practice situation. Feet from my amp as opposed to the amp right in my ears.
In your head.
So I drifted this way to get meatier tones. And then I enjoyed what that did to the song. I enjoyed the way that interacted with the amp. I enjoyed the way that sounded in the control room. So I tend to, even if I start here on take one, as I'm just trying to make sure I have the dexterity and get the resistance that I'm comfortable with in case I have to do the tauter the string feels, kind of the more dexterous I can be. And then if I'm up here, there's more, I gotta be playing a little slower, it tends to be. I don't play my
There's less
fastest.
resistance.
Yeah,
You've got less
because the
control,
strings,
haven't you?
right.
Yeah.
I don't have the same kind of ability. Like, I don't think I ever do 16th notes here, but if I don't do a whole lot of 16th notes in my recording world. So often, if the first note I'm gonna play is a whole note, I'm right here in a song.
Got it.
But with Last Train Home, I probably was here because you hear that snare drum barking at you, attention. So I knew I had to be a little more nosy, a little more forward. Yeah, but I don't think I ever really get back here. And as you can see, the wear right there.
Yeah.
I have noticed myself, like, take one at home, I might start here, and then by take 2 or 3,
And there's a noticeable
right
difference. It's like,
it's
so strange, like an inch and a half.
It still blows my mind that you can go from here to here and have it be that different. But also, again, I'm instantly reacting to, okay, the string now has a little bit more jelly in it. So
Got it, yeah.
It just, it's like a well-worn shoe. It's like, okay, I know I'm not jogging, I'm strolling.
Yeah. And I've even heard you play further forward. Or seen you play.
If I play live with like somebody like David Ryan Harris who's gonna break it down, or John, or anybody who might have these improv moments, I love getting, and using my left hand as some of that muting.
Yes, this is how I've seen you play.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Especially like yesterday shutting down, it's, playing these notes up here that are really meaty. There's
Can you
nothing
show people
like
how you're doing that with your left hand?
That is, I've seen you do it. I've seen everybody, I've studied all the videos.
They've heard me talk about it. I've not heard you talk about it.
So this is on that journey of like muting. When I was learning Jamerson stuff, I was playing my Ibanez 5-string with round wound strings, active
Zing.
pickups, zing. I didn't realize that the tone and the control of the string and the muting has an effect on what groove you're creating. So once I realized, okay, I never had the luxury of having the extra money to buy a mute. So I did. I'd use this hand. Or I would go, wait a minute, I can do the same thing with here. So I put my finger down on the note, and then sometimes it's just this finger. I guess I always have to use that second finger to give it more muting, and then you're just adding in digits if you want more muting.
It makes it more, it's more percussive, isn't it?
Yes, it's much more percussive. And then if you counteract that by coming up here, but you're just using as much of your left hand as you got to get a feel for it. You got to experiment with it.
Yeah.
And then you're just using that to choke the note. And some of it is taking, I guess the essence of a muted note is it's not going to ring. Much like, if you do this, it's going to ring as long as the string goes here. As much meat as you flap on the string, that's going to determine the length of the note. So some of it's like taking your finger up, but a lot of it is just getting that sweet spot of, middle and index finger.
Yeah.
I like having the full spectrum of the deadest possible note that still has a pitch, all the way to, having the wide open note. And if you have some fun with that, like, that's what I like to do at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't play anything there, that's all.
Don't know how she deals with her conscience. No, it's just slowly killing her man. Bottles got my fingerprints on it. She still got my blood on her hands. Even if she stronger stuff. Bartender, fill my cup. 'Cause I keep up alive, keep the fire going inside. I'm sipping this kerosene until she comes back to me. Like a candle, but it blew out the flame. I can't be a hard one to handle. Idiot, when there's a hurricane, baby, but even if you don't know, she's the reason I'm here, right here to closing time. Drinking it until I'm blind. Yes, I keep up alive and keep the fire going inside. Sipping this kerosene until she comes back to me. Burn my tongue a little at first, but the heartbreak that I feel is worse. Now it's my favorite drink. The poison tastes good to me. Oh, won't you, bartender, please pour me another kerosene. Never let it go, never let it go of what we had. Oh, you know it's burning my mind. Looking for my hope in the bottom of a shot glass. You know it's how I keep up alive and keep the fire going inside. I'm sipping this kerosene until she comes back to me. Burn my tongue a little at first, but the heartbreak that I feel is worse. Now it's my favorite drink. The poison tastes good to me. Oh, won't you, bartender, please pour me another kerosene.
That's just too funky with that crew.
There's a lot going on like in terms of like
Yeah.
note control.
Yes.
There's like a lot of that left-hand muting that we were talking about.
Totally.
But then there's also these like incredible like
Spikes. Yeah, exactly. That's all from the Sly Stone early stuff where he's not thumping with his thumb, but he's just digging in. Again, knowing the upper limits of, again, with flats. Like, that's cool. You know, that's,
was that just a
yeah, just a finger.
incredible, yeah.
I'm digging in a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But just to make it, again, nobody's doing anything in my zone. The drums are just pocket, guitar, everything's percolating. So I realize like I can do, I can fill up a lot of space, and then it's like, oh, everyone's just kind of picking their note and popping with it. So then almost like answering myself.
Yeah.
But don't forget then to play the original line. So I was just having a lot of fun, like, ooh, it's really, rarely do I have like, this is all about the bass. If you mute the bass, everything's just like additional information where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, and with David, I get that opportunity with the Scary Pockets crew. Pretty much everything they do is like bass, it's all about the bass.
Yeah. As it should be.
Come on.
Come on. Give us a like on this video if you agree. Does that work on other basses? It's like when I hear you do that, it just with the P bass,
Right.
with flats.
Right. It's cooler.
Is it cool? Yeah. Like, does it work on like other basses, or is it because I've just heard it? You know, I guess sort of like on those classic records,
Right.
which were recorded on the P bass when they did that. Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't realize that you could do that with this instrument when I was young. I thought, because again, some of the basses that were available to me very quickly, once I got into better instruments, they were active. The tones were different, and I didn't have a set of flat wounds until I moved to LA in like 2000.
Yeah.
I did not know that you could coax these, like slap, anything that was poppy always had that zing to it. And
It was like
with round, right. And I was doing it. Dude, I loved Flea. You know, still love them. But I was like, it's just like late middle school, early high school. The Chili Peppers, Mother's Milk had come out where he's doing Higher Ground. And so that was slap to me. So anything that, if I wasn't jumping into that world, it was just, you know, played proper.
Yeah. There was no in between.
No
it
in
was
between.
this or it was that.
And then I maybe was not having the vehicles. A lot of the vehicles available to me now are so disparate. I get to play different characters and different roles, and I really delight in that. And I wouldn't bring that to something, but I had an artist send me a song, and they referenced that tone from Kerosene. It was like,
interesting, yeah.
That's my bass. I know what to do with that, and knowing that there's options for this, because it's cheeky.
It's just a great example of how specifically the P bass is just much more. There's more dynamic there.
I remember thinking of it as a rock instrument when I first had it, because I was choosing the jazz bass as collecting instruments and buying my first vintage instrument as a professional. I went straight to a jazz bass, and I was thinking, because of the 2 volumes and the tone and the 2 pickups, that I could get all these different tones and do things, where under my nose had been the P bass for me ended up being the thing where I can go vintage to modern, basically all with a change of strings or a twist of the tone knob or a muting of the hand or what.
Yeah, because you started out on the jazz bass, then you were like, the vertical horizon happened, so you're in vertical horizon. You
5-string lane.
5-string. Yeah, B-string. Active.
It was demanded of me. You cannot be in the band unless I shopped with the singer.
Cool hair and a 5-string bass.
Exactly.
That's active.
Get it. And get some leather pants while you're at it.
Yes.
That's what I did. But at the time, I was also getting, the first bass I ever put flat wounds on was my Jack Cassidy bass.
Yeah,
and I had not had a hollow body. It kind of did everything. I hadn't had a hollow body. It's a long scale hollow body. I put flats on it, and I started leaving it at Robin Thicke's house. And D'Angelo's record, Voodoo, had just come out. And so I was like, I can maybe play a different role with a different musical thing, all at the same time, getting the job done with the 5-string active business.
Was there any like a particular moment in your past where you were like, maybe the P bass needs to be my main thing?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I've told this story before. I think I told it to you, but I can now reveal even more. But so I love all my instruments, and I've kept them all. But at the time that Vertical Horizon is happening, and it's like, if you're good enough and the producer likes you, you can play on the record. Otherwise, we're going to hire Tony Levin or someone else. So it's like, okay, to be in this band, I had to have a 5-string with a low B. And the best basses at the time were Lakelands and Sadowski's and Mike Lull's, and I happened to get an amazing deal from Dan, who was the creator of the Lakeland basses, and I got what I thought was the right bass. You know, maple top, Bartolini pickups, the Music Man big humbucker, and then the single jazz here. 3 tones, you know, low, mid, and high, volume panning. And the producer loved it. Everyone was like, I got other gigs from that producer too, because he's like, your Lakeland's got so much sustain, it's amazing. So in that context, the best bass I could have owned. The trouble was, it was basically the only bass I owned. I owned that. I owned a bass I'll send you a picture of. It was a Fender 40th anniversary P bass, which sounds like, pretty straight up. But when I bought it in 1992, 91 is when it came out. Flamed maple top, or curly maple top.
Oh.
Ebony fingerboard, no dots. Bird's eye maple neck, headstock, and everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a picture. Amber color, lace sensor pickups.
Oh, the lace
fine
sensors.
tuners on the bridge, like you would see in a Floyd Rose.
Yeah.
So that was my P bass, active, and that's the one I turned the tone down.
Yeah.
And then I had a fretless Music Man. So I had 3 basses.
Yeah.
2 were active and 1 was fretless and active.
Yeah.
So I'm at Robin Thicke's house and I'm recording, and I had flown out with my 1 bass, my Lakeland, and I had been brought out with a guitar player who Robin absolutely loved, this guy Bobby Keys. So he loved Bobby. He's like, I need a bass player that can hang, workshop with me. And if you like him, I'm going to love him. Bobby's 20 years older than me, so Bobby's the old guy. He's bringing the young guy. Robin's a couple of years younger.
Yeah.
Hit it off. Everybody's so nice, so talented. I was blown away by the talent. I'm recording, and they're like engineers. They had early, I don't even think we were doing computers yet, so going to tape. So really had to, some tape and DA-88s where you weren't getting playlists. So it was like very much about the performance that you were able to give from your instrument. And they said that they liked the way I played, and then I would hear them talking about how are we going to make it work in the mix? Maybe we could compress it again. Meanwhile, I had already gone through a pre and a LA2A or something. So I didn't like that comment of what are we going to make?
Right. How are we going to make this work?
So at the time, Bobby he actually had a 5-string jazz bass, but it was just passive. And he had it at Robin's house. And I was desperate, and I'm like, I know it's not my hand, so I'm like, Bobby's like, hey, why don't you play this bass, see if the tone, and because the Fender 5-strings of that era, it's regular scale, where the Lakeland's 35-inch scale as opposed to 34.
Got it.
And it was a little more passive, like just a little more normal, I guess, as opposed to active, and there's a sort of nasal thing, like you can't hide when you're playing an active bass.
It's an active bass?
Yeah. Maple fingerboard, by the way.
Yeah.
So when I played the Rosewood fingerboard passive, even though it was a jazz bass, I played it and they were like instantly like, it sits so much better in the track. Meanwhile, same dude playing the same part. And so that was a lesson of you can do everything right, but if the instrument isn't working for the musical scene that they have set or the particular tastes of the artist you're working with, you can go from hero to zero. And I went from zero to hero by switching the basses. Yeah. So I immediately was like, I have to get many more basses here. That's when I got the concept. I had met the Epiphone people. Let me get a Jack Cassidy, put flats on it, leave it at Robin's house. So I always have a character bass sitting around. Because I didn't live in LA yet, but I was popping in a lot. And then I called Fender immediately. And because Vertical Horizon was starting to hit, I'm like, hey, they were hitting, but we weren't making money yet. I certainly wasn't. Yeah. So I got a free Fender 62 reissue P bass that was passive, normal. I didn't even put flats on it yet because I was relying on the Jack Cassidy, but that got me a lot more globally, like I could pull out a P bass. I had even brought it to a session.
You had the tools necessary.
I had the tools, and I brought it, and they had a vintage bass from Lon Cohen, a famous rental place in LA. They had fired their bass player, but had rented this bass from, often in the days of LA music making, bands would fly out, they wouldn't have gear, they'd rent it all. So they still had the bass, and I had my new 62 reissue from Fender, and we compared them, and they chose the 62 reissue. Wow. Sent the 65 thing packing, and I played on a whole record like that. Same producer as a Vertical Horizon guy who loved my Lakeland, but he was like, we want to make this seamless. The bass player played a P bass. We kicked him out. We just want to replace all his parts and move on. Yeah. So that was the first, like, can I pull it off? And that was when the P bass was like, if you don't get this right, you're going to miss opportunities. And that's cool, but I didn't want to miss opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And was it around the same time that you started using flats? Because, like, even though you're using rounds, like, when I think about you, I think about the P-bass, I think about flats as well. That's
Right.
part of your sort of like personality. Was it around that same time?
Yeah, that's when I probably bought my first set of flats. I put D'Addario flats on the Epiphone, and because it was just sitting around at Robin Thicke's house, I tried flats on the P-bass, but because I only had one, I was like, it's gonna limit me. I wanted to have rounds on it.
Yeah.
But I really fell in, I started using that Epiphone live in LA all the time because that tone to me felt like, I finally sound like I want to sound.
Yeah.
Where I'm not adjusting, I got too much top end. The mids aren't right. There's some pokey, or there's a horn in my speaker cabinet. How do I turn it off? I finally had a bass where if I just showed up on stage, house sound guy, and plugged in, like, he can't fuck this up. I got a bass that's pretty meaty, this Epiphone Jack Cassidy. It's got flat wounds on it. There's no high end for him to, because a lot of time those guys would make you sizzling. You'd go out and like, I didn't know, like that's not what I was intending to sound like. They put gated stuff on the kick drum, and I hear the drummer like, hey man, can you loosen up the gate? Like sound guys in the clubs were not going, I've checked out your record and I really dialed it in, a bespoke version of the mix for you. They're like, yeah, it's my sensibility. It's 2001 and he's still living like it's 1992.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got y'all beat. I got a flat wound bass. And that's the first bass that Mayer ever heard me play when he was like, I like the way you play. It's on Alicia Keys' record. We did a song called Lesson Learned that Steve Jordan's on, I'm on, and that's my Epiphone Jack Cassidy bass with flats. Because that was the only bass I could fully commit. It was never going to have round wounds. It would always have flats. And I remember plugging it in, and Alicia had brought her engineer. I think Alicia made a comment, but she was like, oh, it sounds so beautiful. So it's like such low end, gloriousness or something.
Yeah.
I forgot the comment, but it's like she's saying that John had called me last minute to fill in on this session that kind of just came up out of the blue. And it was before I had ever toured with him. And so like everything was working like, I have to honor this. And because it made my sensibility, it like checked all my boxes, but then to hear an engineer that didn't even know me, doesn't remember me, to have them be raving about it, to have John sit in with me and David Ryan Harris and him being like, because he said, he had seen me with Vertical Horizon. So he just thought I was a rock guy playing a 5-string. We had met, and then when he sat in and I was playing that bass and doing David's funky stuff, he's like, I didn't know you could play like that. And I was like, this bass has gotten me, it kept opening doors for me. And it was like, it's my sound, it's my flat wound sensibility. That's when I finally was like, I gotta get a P bass with flats.
Right. Did you ever feel like you were letting go of an old part of you?
Yes,
and,
which
like, transitioning.
I was dying to, because I remember feeling like I wasn't just band guy who had to toe the line of a band that existed before I joined. I wanted to be the guys I had read about in magazines that got called to be Lee Sklar, Will Lee, got called because they were beloved by the people that knew what they could get out of them. It's like an amazing bass player who can come in and kick it on everything we're doing. And I was like, I want to have a sound that doesn't make me cringe while I'm recording it. And then hopefully that when I go into the control room, I'm not as bummed out as like, oh, I'm so bright. Oh, everything is awful.
See you later, band guy. And then I'm this new.
When you find your voice, also I was trying to figure out where are my limits and how can I use them to define my world, my worldview, my peers, the people that are going to gravitate to me. Because if I had gotten stuck in, fusion world where it was not my happy place, where I always had to play, I had a 5-string with a high C when I first went to Berkeley.
Dude, we all go through it, man. It's a rite of passage.
Exactly.
Ian over there, 6-string carving.
Right. He told me this story. I definitely looked at that catalog and thought, I could do it. I should do it. Yep, I'm going to call. This is back in the days when you would call and order a bass.
Did you know that we actually have a comprehensive online learning platform called the SPL Academy? Did you? Did you know? At SPL, we break down the bass with a curriculum-driven approach that spans from absolute beginner to super advanced. And we also cover all kinds of genres, skills, and techniques, all brought to you by world-class bass instructors. And best of all, you can get started today completely free. Just go to trysbl.com.
You mentioned before, though, you went through a recent experience. You were doing the album with Timothee Chalamet. And you used the jazz bass for that.
Oh, yeah.
What's the story around that?
So I got a call or an email saying that they're going to do a movie about Bob Dylan called The Complete Unknown. We knew what it was called, and we knew it was around the Newport Folk Festival where he went electric, and it was a big uproar in a negative sense, where like he was kind of flexing where he wanted
Bob
to
Dylan
take...
was an acoustic guy.
Exactly,
before,
and he was beloved by the folk community.
Yeah.
He had only recently been like introduced to the world, and it's like he was such a big deal. He was a poet, he was an amazing folk artist, and then suddenly it's like he shows up and he's getting rebellious. So they're going to re-record all this stuff. Timothee was going to sing, and they had to recreate everything. They can't use any of the source material. So we were tasked with do your own research and bring the right gear in order to recreate the recordings that are on the record, but also the live performances from that Newport 65. So, you know, my first order of business was look for pictures because I wanted to see what were the guys using. And lo and behold, there was a jazz bass pictured. And of course, when we see a jazz bass from the 60s, we go, oh, vintage. This would have been brand new. This is 65, right? The guy probably bought it that year or maybe in 64. So I have a 69 jazz bass. And I knew listening live, you know, it's like the recordings from the concert, they're not as high fidelity as we're used to, but unmistakably, it's like that's definitely a jazz bass. It sounded like flat wounds, and I'm pretty sure they would have shipped with flat wounds. I don't think rounds were standard on the instruments until later. So I knew I took my one vintage bass, put on flat wounds, and I started playing it because I had a little bit of warning and prep, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be it. Some songs I knew I'd have to play with a pick and do a little muting, and then other songs I could see live. The live stuff, the guy was just playing with his fingers, and I knew it was like, this is going to be easy. I got a B15. It's going to sit in the track because the drummer was going to do the same thing. Guitar players were going to do the same thing, try to figure out what gear would best mimic that. And lo and behold, everyone was like, oh yeah, it's great. And there were other songs like, okay, I had to figure out who played bass on that, try to read articles, because some of the old stuff, like a Rolling Stone, my ear told me it was a bass 6, but there was another song Harvey Brooks played on, I think, and I couldn't tell. I guessed it was a P bass, but it wasn't as definitive. I think I ended up guessing maybe it was a jazz bass ultimately, because once I started playing the jazz bass, it seemed to suit the tones, especially when one's the bass 6. I'm like, the P bass might be a little bit too throaty, too robust. But I think I played the jazz bass with flats on everything that wasn't the bass 6.
Should we listen to it?
Yeah.
Like a Rolling Stone.
Yep.
The bass 6. With flats,
With flats. And a pick.
Once upon a time, you're just so fine. Through the bumps of dime in your prime. Then you.
Listen to that guitar.
People call, say, beware, dog.
When I heard the original, I'm like, there's a thinness to it, even though it's still in our octave, but I knew instantly, I was like, that's a bass 6 on the original. And luckily I have one, and I know what that sounds like. I have flats on that as well that I got from Labella to make sure that bass was always ready to go in that character. And lo and behold, like, super simple.
It's wild that you also, you did all of the mistakes as well.
Yeah, it really challenges you when you're like, God, you want to correct something, but also it's like, if everybody does a little bit of correcting, it's going to sound too precise, too clean. So everybody was like, full character, like don't break it, do it. And then if it didn't fly, I was prepared to not do the half step or the eighth note late after the chord change. 'Cause I read enough about these guys, like it was so fresh, so new. They weren't doing, it wasn't like show up, have with your chart and just read it down like the
That
Wrecking
wasn't the
Crew.
vibe, yeah.
These guys, they were in New York. He was just exploring the
Looser.
studio space.
Yeah, loose.
Yeah, which I wanted to honor that by like, hey, but make it feel authentic, not like nail it by getting it wrong, but like have the same spirit of like, what do I do when I'm like, oops, my ear heard the change before my hand did. So get that extra, a little bit authentic.
Yeah.
It's again, I love a challenge.
When you're doing like a project like that, or any of the recording projects that you do, are you taking this board with you, which is super simple? We'll get a screenshot of this, after the fact, and we can put it in. But we've just got a Noble DI on there, and then a micro tubes.
Yep, I'll do the micro tubes to the amp, and occasionally I'll put it through the DI if a pop guy wants to have, if they're sure that they want the DI to be a little driven. But generally, I'm just showing up with a tuner. I've got two boards like this. This I often keep at home.
Is your pedalboard shrinking over the earshot?
Definitely.
More
Yep,
simple
I know. I
life.
had a bigger one
Yeah.
with all these different levels of drive, and I found it just, if they didn't get used, it's kind of like you got to clean out your wardrobe. If you haven't worn it for 2 years, 3 years, so
Marie Kondo, dude.
Yep, exactly. If it doesn't bring joy, so many of these
Say
things.
thanks. And then,
Yes, exactly. I respect that you got me this far, but every time it's been challenged with like, is that the best option we have in front of us?
Yeah.
It always wins. So I don't like to pick a needless fight. Like it has won so many battles. So if I've worked with you and you like it, I'm just going to start with it. If you got a new DI and you're like, hey man, let's track this through my new thing, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But it has not failed me. So the reason I got two is if I ever travel, I like to have it. If I'm recording, I like to have it. And I can't be in two places at once, but my DI can.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
What about live? What are you doing live?
I would bring this live as well. I have recently upgraded to my friends at Vertex, have cleaned up my board, but live, I always have a Noble on the ground and a tuner. I favor the Peterson because I just like knowing that I'm 100% in tune. You can intonate with these, but also it's clean, it's quiet, it doesn't pop, it doesn't give me funny business. DI with a tuner. There have been times when I've thought, should I be bringing more? Because there might be a rental amp somewhere. I remember showing up for an artist. It was like a corporate gig where, Wells Fargo Bank was having a party. And so the band was kind of secondary. But I'm not playing for the audience. And I know I've told you this. I'm playing for my homies on stage. So when the artist came over and he saw I just had a tuner and a DI, and he was like, I love the way you sound. And he had just fired a bass player after a couple of years. He's like, that guy had a giant pedal board and it sounded like crap. And you come in here with nothing and you just plug into the amp and it sounds great. So it's like, if I got the negative responses like I did with the Lakeland not being the right instrument and the grumbling from the artist, producer, engineer, all saying something wasn't right, then I make adjustments. When everyone says, oh no, what you're doing is awesome, I tend to not change anything.
Yeah. And it's like, it can be, it's like houses, right? Some people like, a really busy house with lots of stuff in it. And then some people like a minimalist house. It just depends on the flavor that you're looking for. It's not that one's right or wrong.
And there's room for everybody, right?
Yeah.
There's a process you go through, like what's right for you?
Yeah.
Like I would never force someone else to come in and go, oh, you have to do it my way because this is the only way. My favorite way is to do it this way. The way I make charts, the way I listen, the way I try to get into my process my way.
Yeah.
It's all been like little bit, tighten up this, tighten up that. If I left an experience not feeling my best, I try to go, okay, how could I affect it so that the next time I feel like the results are good and I feel good about it. But that's me. That's not, there's so many bass players I love that like I was talking with Ian about Tim LaFave. Absolutely love the man and the bass player. And he would lose his mind if I was like, yeah, you can't use anything. You got to just use my rig. That's not him.
It's not
when
his
he
voice,
plays and he does his thing, I'm just like, give me more. I like everything you do sounds like you. Or, any bass player who plays with more strings than me. I love it when I hear them play because they're being 100% them.
Yeah.
But when you finally cross that threshold of not trying to imitate your heroes and not trying to mimic someone else or not feeling less than, like I've had to fill in with a guy that always had Janek playing with him.
Oh yeah.
Janek Gwizdala, who's one of the best musicians in the world.
He went to the chop shop, and there was a sale on, and he got all the chop.
He got them
I
all.
went to the shop afterwards. He bought them all.
You got nothing.
He freaking bought them all.
You know what we're talking about. So imagine, okay, hey, you're gonna fill in, like you're gonna take this gig where we're happy to have you play. Janek usually plays. I remember going, I have two choices. I could try to be the worst Janek imitator or just be the best Sean Hurley available.
Yeah.
And I did it, and it was like Gary Novak was playing drums, Bob Reynolds was playing sax, it was Bob's gig. And he was like, that was awesome. Like, you play completely your way, and I loved it for you being you. And when Janek plays, I love it when he's being him. And that was so long ago. That was like 2009 maybe. And that was the first time I went to the Baked Potato with a flat wound P bass. Because I thought if you go to a club that's known for bass solos, you got to bring a kind of a soloist instrument. I think last time I played there was my 5-string Lakeland. And then I had a 10-year thing where like, I don't belong there. And then I went there. The owner, Justin, was like, I brought my own SVT head. He's like, no one's brought an SVT here since Mike Elizondo, who's one of my other favorite bass players for other reasons. And I was like, just being you and being supported. Bob, we had toured with Mayer together. He's like, I know you're not Janek, just come in and play because I want to hang out with you, my friend. You're going to love playing with Gary.
Did you have to remind yourself to be you?
Oh yeah.
Were you?
Because I was going, the only reference material was Janek.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you're listening to this thing and it's like, hey, that's not what I do.
Right.
So do you start like leaning?
So I got concerned with like, how do I enter? I knew once I figured out who to be that I would be okay. Yeah. But I didn't know which bass I would bring. From the moment Bob was like, hey, come on and do it. And I said yes. I didn't have my plan yet. I was like...
You got the old Lackland out?
Yeah. Everything is not... Oh, God. So I said, you know what? I thought maybe I'd just done a tour with my 61 P bass with flats. I'm like, let me look at Bob's charts. And there was nothing, Janek doesn't play with a low B, he's got a high C.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, there's no low stuff that I have to worry about. And then it's like the bass solo, I don't have to worry about it because there's context, there's music, there's a motif. Like, I'm gonna bring my flat wound. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go all the way,
like
100%.
I'm putting my stall out.
Yep.
This is what I am.
And it made me feel like I can do anything if I just trust. How I got here was following my instincts, trying to be the most supportive me I can be, not try to be someone else. Bob loved it, Gary loved it. We went to Berkeley, did a clinic. They loved it. We played with students, and it really reassured me because I had just come off a Mayer tour. I was like, my career was going the way I had planned, but it's my growth as a player. It's never going to end. There's no destination. It's like, you don't go, okay, great. I don't have to maintain this ever. It's constant maintenance. So that was a big one where like, I can play like me even without a vocalist. Because I was like, I don't want to do instrumental music because that can be a slippery slope. I could end up agreeing to things that I would never agree to in my right mind. But so that's what opened up to when my friends that I do sessions with were like, we want to play some burning fast shit at the Baked Potato. Will you join us? And they liked playing with me. Like, why do you like playing with me? All right, let's do it. Because I'm not going to, I don't take the bait the way I would have in the old days. It's like, y'all are going crazy over there. Guess who's not? Me. And you're going to love it. Because I'm holding it down. You want me on that wall. And it just has made playing every other style other than, hey, there's a singer and we're doing it simple. And it's made everything else have that same focus. Where like everything I'm doing is more intentional. Because I used to go, if there's no singer, nothing matters. So I could do anything and break rules that I had long set to like, I call it taking the bait. Me and my friend, the drummer there, Jake Reed, we're like, and I'm a little older than him, so I'm like, don't take the bait, man. And we used to go, the guitar player's playing 16th notes. And like, no, don't take the bait, bro. And then they were like, I like the way you, Bob said it to me, Bob Reynolds. He's like, I like the way you support my solos. Like, I can do this.
It's so interesting how it's such a psychological game as well, isn't it? Like there's the music part of it, the physicality part of it, and then there's this whole psychological part that's so important and so key. Yet it's like you can't see it. You watch your favorite players.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. Yeah. It's like, what's going on in that little noggin of theirs, you know, in that dome. Listen, I want to play this.
Great.
It's awesome. This is you playing at the Baked Potato with Jake. Jake Reed on drums, and an incredible band. And you're taking a solo on a P bass.
On a P bass.
On a P. Come on.
Reckless.
Oh, check this out.
See Andrew point at me. You have to.
Is it this bass?
Yeah.
That note as well, come on. I've listened to this a few times.
Once or twice. Right.
There we go.
Right.
I think I learned this actually at one point.
Can you teach it to me? Right, then the song goes back to normal.
Oh, like we were talking earlier, and I was like, hey, you know, I get anxiety sometimes. The solo on a P bass, because it's so hard sometimes. It just sometimes gets lost.
The tone. Luckily, in a club, everything's going for us. Like we're playing in a thing. There's a lot of dead material.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're in a vacant room where the bass sounds like it has reverb because of the distance of the stage to the back bar or something, it's so frustrating to like, can you even be heard? Because there's so much natural resonance and the drums hitting.
Yeah.
The Baked Potato, it just sounds good. And there's a PA, the audience is
It's a
complete
small
listening.
club.
So small.
But there's a PA, everything's mic'd up.
It's, the sound is, you don't have to fight the ergonomics of the way architecture is always working against you. Like you play a big venue and the sound can be pretty awful. You know, I'm not sure the audience is getting the best experience audio-wise. There's a Baked Potato. So it's less anxious as a bass player because like I can just play at my normal volume that's right with the band. I'll be heard. They record it. You don't feel like there's no pressure also with bass solos because I'll probably do 4 a night, you know, 2 in each set. So unlike the anxiety of, all right, we have a 2-hour show and there's one bass solo and if you got to crush it because there's an audience, like these people are listeners. They're, even if you don't, you know, reinvent the wheel in your solo, the community has been very supportive. And
I think that's beautiful.
it's really a special place. And then playing with people.
Talking about reinventing the, and I mean it.
Yeah.
I mean it. Like if somebody was like, "What does it sound like when you solo on a P bass?" I would send them this. And I was like, "That's the vibe. That's the vibe." So it really stood out to me. There were just like beautiful lines, all of this thematic development going through it.
The benefit is playing in context. There's a melody that was played, then there were solos that were taken. So some of that, like when I played the major 6, I'm sure Andrew had played it or Kate had played it. So I'm like, these notes, they're kind of suggestions. It's like a word jumble. It's like we've been using these. So if any of these call to you, do it. And then it's, you know, it's got a G minor thing to A flat major. And it's like, there's so many common tones. Like you can see when I'm walking up, my light bulbs are going off. Like I'm playing this, the old me, the student me would go, I have to stop and reassess when the new chord change comes in. But I was like, doesn't matter where I am in that sequence, when the A flat, which is a half step above the tonic, when that kicks in, I'm just gonna go to the next scalar tone, and it's gonna be a theme that, or it's gonna be a line that runs through chord changes, where old me was like, I play on G minor, I stop, I pick up my gear, I bring it to A flat major. Is there a sharp 11? I think so. I don't, you know, like those days are gone where I can, okay. And I'm hearing these other great soloists solo through these changes, maybe breaking rules that me as a bass player was like, I didn't know I could get away with that. Or I don't even know if I can get away with that, but they did it, I like it. And it just fuels your, maybe I can play some wrong notes too, and they'll be musical, you know.
Well, it sounds absolutely killing to me. Absolutely killing. Everybody here, we should all collectively learn Sean solo. There's nothing bad.
I'll learn it too.
Hey, one thing I've got another track that I want to play. Yesterday's Shutting Down.
Oh yeah.
David Ryan Harris and yourself. But I wanted to talk about your like pocket and your time, kind of a time pocket concept, because what you do when I listen to you is like you've just got this really incredible way of placing the notes within the pocket, within the groove, and I wonder like just your thoughts on it and how it might have changed over the years.
It definitely has evolved because
it's evolved.
It certainly has evolved from the time I was full student mode to then professional mode, and then as a professional to present day. That's probably been the most in-depth study that takes forever to see the actual changes taking hold. We're like, well, we learn and unlock certain fingerings or scales. Like, oh, okay. You know, it's all sort of, there was Tuesday and Wednesday, and now I know this new thing.
I've learned this new lick.
Right. The feel thing, when you're young and you're playing with a band, it's like, you know, if you have a 1-bar break where nobody's counting, everyone's just tapping their foot, you learn pretty quickly, like, am I with the band? Am I coming in early or late? Like, you start to learn that group think of like, okay, who's got the best time? But nobody's really instructing you. When you get recording, that's when the instruction came. You know, it's hard even for a teacher to go, they can kind of see if you're rushing or whatever, but
they're not sitting looking at a Pro Tools session and they're like, huh?
So this is where it gets weird or it gets interesting. Because I spent probably like you, the fortifying years were like, okay, I have a hold of this instrument and I can bring it in somewhere. It was all done blind. I don't know. When it feels good, I don't know what it looks like when it feels good. And when I first recorded with Robin, he was the first guy. I was aware of the concept of laying back, but he was the first guy who was like, that's great. Next pass, lay it back. And no one, like in the rock band, it was like, the feel was great and it's cool. And can we do a better take? Okay, me and the drummer, a better take. This was like, there's drum machines, there's static things, there's stuff recorded. You're the only variable. So when I say lay it back, if you give me what I want, then we move on. If you don't, I ask for it again. Can you? And then again, the instruction of like, what was Pino and Questlove and what was the voodoo version of laying it back? That's a whole other thing that think that's Raphael Sadiq on that. You can't just show up and start playing like that uninvited.
No.
So
there was a conversation with Questlove online saying it took him about 2 or 3 weeks to get used to the feel that Pino and Jim was, he said it sounded completely wrong to him. He was like, and he said it felt awful.
Right.
Playing with it. Like,
he told a drummer friend contemporaneously, because they were both on tour, like 2002 or something, that there was, I think, hopefully I'm not passing on bad gossip, but that he at some point early on was like, just had to turn everyone way down and just listen to click. Because if you'll listen, the thing I think people get wrong is they think, oh, lay it back. And so everyone starts dipping back. We're like, someone's got to play straight. And if you listen to How Does It Feel, Questlove is the time. Like, he's not changing. All the scary pocket stuff, the drummer is just ding, ding,
right in the
ding.
center.
So then I can go, you know, I have the luxury of, so then you learn, okay, what does laying it back really mean? How many increments? How many ticks?
Yeah.
And then you start recording and you can see it. And you can go, often we've performed and I go, I wanna check second chorus because I felt like I was a little rushy. You come in and you listen and you go, oh yeah. And then we started looking, hey, when it felt funny to me or when it felt good, equal options. Let me see what that looks like. And I started to see that the instructions I was getting and the eighth notes that felt most healthy to me, that were just like, hey, what do good eighth notes feel like? They were just a little bit behind. If the kick is there and you could see it visually, everyone should know what a kick looks like in the sound wave.
Traffic cone.
Yeah. So there's no kick and then there's kick and then there's that tail. Well, like if you're before the kick, that's not gonna sound good and it's gonna sound wrong.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel wrong, it's gonna look wrong. Then there are levels of like, there's exact, like when the guys just, you know, cut, just do it visually. But then there's and I've talked about this with my certain drummers, they're like, I like playing with you and you're always a little behind my kick and it sounds better, it feels better. And when we look at it, it's like every kick is like, he's hitting here, which is dead on, and I'm just a little behind. And sonically, it's like attack, tone, attack, tone, attack. So kick, tone, it all happens milliseconds. Yeah. I know how to nudge it if I, you know, am a human and don't perform something completely. And there's one out of, you know, 100 that are like, oop, I always know. I've told this to some young guys. You can make mistakes on any recording. It's totally okay. You're not going to get fired. But if you're like, yeah, I messed up, and you don't know where, next. I don't think that's cool.
Yeah.
So you got to know, I messed up second bar of chorus 2. Please let me fix it, or can you just nudge it, or whatever we have to do to correct it. And when they love it, like, oh, you know exactly where. And then in the old days, it used to be, you'd watch the tape machine go, hey, at 38, because there were no bars. It was all, I would say, hey, it's bar 17, but the tape machine would say it's at minute, because there's a 30-minute tape. So you would go, that guy Bobby Keys told me, he's like, if you're a pro and you make a mistake, watch it. In playback, we're in the control room. Watch where your mistake is on the tape and get the time and tell the engineer you want to punch in. You can tell him it's measure 2, but you got to tell him it's at 14:03. And then he's hitting play, because this is the back of the day, destructive record. Like if they punch in too early, now you got to back it up and you got to punch in early.
Yeah.
So anyway, all that was training for, hey, what does it feel like to feel pocket good? David Ryan Harris and I spent a lot of time, I think we played with every drummer friend of mine in LA. And there were times like, he's like, next, who else you got?
Really? Yeah.
So he had favorite feels. And if the guy wasn't delivering, it's like, out, who's next? And then one time we played a gig, no drummer was available. And we just played the two of us. And it was like, we could do anything. We could go anywhere. And I started to really invest in like, if it's truly up to me, I can create, like, even though you say you're playing 85 BPM, beat 2 might feel,
It's malleable, right?
Right.
It's
Things
malleable.
you have that amount of time to orchestrate this feel thing in there. And with eighth notes, okay, maybe you want to make them, maybe it's long, short, maybe you're going, maybe that's tone, To me, I started to realize a lot of my feel was created by what strings I was playing.
Yeah.
Because if I go versus, I don't feel the same.
It's like nosier, pointier.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay, my feel is directly linked to where I choose to play the notes on my instrument.
Yeah.
My feel is directly connected to the length of that note. So do I come off on the snare? Now a guy that lets it linger, boom, ka, boom. Okay, it's a different song, but also it's like you don't sound groovy. But I go boom, boom. Now I'm groovy. Even Last Train Home, which is not a funky song, I'm thinking of it as a funky song. 2s and 4s are longer, 1s and 3s are shorter. In the time of like time is but a concept.
Yeah.
Because the snare, it's got reverb. So then every note is a 16th note subdivision, even when I'm playing. All those boom, da boom, da. There's none of them are, like I wrote them down as quarter notes.
Yeah.
If student me played those, I wouldn't get the gig.
Yeah.
But professional, they're different, and it's what you do. So that's me and my feel.
Yeah,
Your and your
yeah.
feel can impart something different, and this is where you get in where you fit in, as they say.
Getting where you fit it.
So people will go, I like playing with that guy. That drummer recommends you, blah, blah, blah. It's like feels fit with my concept of like, oh, if I want to be a little behind, I gravitate to drummers that are like, I like it where you put it and you lay it behind. Other guys are like, I'm dragging them down or something. Or if I'm paired with a drummer who thinks that he's going to be the one to lay it back, then I have to play straight man, or I'm going to be fighting with him and I might go, man, he wants to slow it down because I'm trying to give some feel. And then by the end of the song, we're like,
Because you want to be on the back end
Right,
of the beat,
and
and
if-
he wants to be on the back end, and you're like,
exactly. Right. So when you don't have to verbalize it, and everyone sort of gets the roles, it's like the guitar players, like Wendy's, she's not laying it back. She's just putting it in a consistent pocket.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. So there's certain constants. And then there are times like you develop your feel by being, when I'm not the constant, what am I capable of? How can I shape this? And you have to have the goal of, it's been never ending for me. Everybody I've ever played with, I try to go, how can I improve my feel to make this the best version of this song they've ever heard?
Yeah. How long was it from like student you to feeling confident about being able to place it? Like how long was it? And I know it's a hard question.
There's a long blackout period where I probably wasn't even aware, but I
Well,
was.
for me, I wasn't aware.
But I must have been working on my feel. I do remember in student years, like later high school, so I had already been playing 6 years, where I remember seeing a walking line, and this was jazz band, big band in high school, and I would see, just something simple, B flat. It would be a, Sammy Nestico arrangement of this, whatever. And they would have every bass note written out, which was great for my reading. But I would look at that and go, I gotta do something with that. So I would play it like, I'd see 4 quarter notes and I would go. so I was giving it some feel before I was aware of, I was doing stuff that wasn't written. I remember my music teacher who was helping me prepare, he was not a bass player, just the big band teacher. And he's like, you're doing some hiccups or whatever, you're doing some extra notes. Are those written? And I'm like, no. He's like, I don't think you should do that. Because we were preparing for an audition and I was like, okay. But I was like, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Like, I talked to big band instructors when you go to a competition. I talked to one guy who was a bass player. Yeah. He's like, you remind me of Paul Chambers. I was playing an electric Ibanez. Yeah, he's telling me I remind him of Paul Chambers. I'm like, okay, I got to trust that what I'm trying to emulate is something that's beyond the page. This is where feel. There's no book about feel. So it was getting there, but until I started recording, it was probably a good 5 years from 2000 to 2005 where I was feeling things and knowing 100% that the feel was being executed. Yeah. And I'm just ballparking it, but it's like there's so much gray area where you're getting a win, but it's like when you squeak out some victory somewhere, you're like, that wasn't all me. A lot of luck was on my side. Or you're paired with the right drummer, the right bandmate. Yeah. When your band wins the Battle of the Bands, it's like, it wasn't all about you.
Yeah, the first time I noticed about difference in feels was drummers. Listening to drummers and playing with drummers, and how come when this guy plays it sounds okay, but when this guy plays the same beat, it feels incredible. That was, and I didn't understand what it was. I didn't know why, but all of this stuff. Drummers are actually doing this between the different instruments, the hi-hat, the snare, the bass drum. We can't really do that to it, but they actually have these, they might be pushing the bass drum or pulling it back up, pulling the snare back, and Steve Gadd famously in his 16th note beat, he always flammed between the snare and the hi-hat, and obviously Steve Gadd, legendary feel. With that said, with legendary feels, I want you to take us out on a tune. So say thanks to Sean in the comments. Go down there, give him some love, and we're going to play another David Ryan Harris tune. He's going to grab his other bass. This is called, what is it called?
Yesterday
Shutting Down. What a tune. I freaking love this.
I'll be gone. Leave my baby.
Still got it.
Thank you, mate. That was freaking awesome.